What's going on, everyone? This is CryptoVatsik with your weekly altcoin analysis video. Nothing of what you're about to see is considered financial advice. They're just my opinions. And if you do enjoy this content, I would really appreciate it if you gave this video a like, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Let's get right into it. Okay, we got an exciting one today. I'm going to be covering Galagames. It's been a little while since my last video on this one, and a lot has transpired since I posted that last video. This is going to be a very much technical video, simply looking at TA versus anything fundamental. Now, I think we're at that point in the market where we really need to zoom out and get the clearer picture of what's going on, or the phase of the cycle that we are in. And what I mean by that is not getting chopped up in the low time frame, unless of course you are taking swing trades. But I guess just taking a step back and fundamentally looking at the phase of the market we're in, which I believe we are in a reaccumulation phase. I've talked about this many times in other videos, which means for the most part, the pain isn't quite over yet, but I would say we're at least halfway there in terms of getting out of this bear market and back into a fresh bull market this year in 2023. Okay, so with that said, let's get right into the chart here. So everything you see on the chart is from my previous video. We've got high time frame resistance here in my red zone, which I covered in my previous video. I won't go into it further now, but at the time of the previous video, we were trading right up here at the time of that video. And I had said that I would expect this region to get rejected on the first attempt. We've seen bear market rallies, but we've seen it time and time before. The first attempt is never the attempt that gets us out of the bear market and into a new cycle. It just doesn't happen. Instead, what happens is we enter a form of reaccumulation, which essentially is what I think we're seeing in front of us at the moment. There are lots of traders and investors that will enter in a falsified reaccumulation zone, thinking we have bottomed, formed new support, and it's up from there. But it's just not the case. And so I had marked out my green zone down here in that prior video. And this was our high time frame fair value gap, meaning I expected price to get rejected up here, and though it may take some time, that we would get an opportunity to enter somewhere in and around green zone. The fair value gap comes from this range right here, if you missed it. Okay, that fair value gap there on this daily candle. We had our deviation below the range, otherwise known as our bottom, and then what we want to see as per reaccumulation criteria is we want to start to see that slow grind down start to taper off, all the while holding our bottom as the true bottom. And what we're waiting for is that next impulsive leg up. So we got our massive impulsive leg up, otherwise a bear market rally, short squeeze. We bleed all the way back down under high time frame daily resistance for some time until eventually we hit some sort of major support area and we start to get that impulse up again. Now, we could deviate below green and still be considered in a reaccumulation phase, but ideally I would like to see these range lows hold, considering how much demand was down at these levels, kind of the 2 cent area. I would expect us to get some strong interest anywhere around these levels again if we reach it, which in my opinion, I think we will see that soon enough. Okay, so getting into the chart, there's a couple screenshots from my last video I just want to clarify. So one was the rejection off of red that we got, and let's zoom into the 4 hour here. Okay, so we had this ascending wedge that I talked about in my prior video, and I'll just expand a snippet from that prior video here. And I said a lot of times in crypto, you'll see the classic fake breakout outside the wedge, return back to the wedge, and then break down from there. And so when I covered that scenario, we were trading right here at the time, and we almost got that precisely. Okay, we almost got that fake out right here in this candle on January 27th. Looked like a very powerful move, breaking outside of this overall range from the high to the low, and then even gave you an area of consolidation over here near the range high. So definitely a couple of dangerous pieces of price action there that would have faked out a lot of people in the lower time frame here. But ultimately, you're waiting for that break of the wedge to the downside, right? And we got that essentially right at this moment. There's your confirmed breakdown with even a bearish underside back test right there before it was dumperino. So I just wanted to cover that because that was something really important from my last video. Now there's one other snippet I'm going to bring up. Sorry, make that 2 snippets. Here's the next one that I want to cover. Like I said, here's the bottom band of that wedge that we had forming. You're waiting for that breakdown level. Get back underside our red resistance area is our confirmation that this was distribution. The trend's not going to continue and it's shifted to the downside. Okay. And then with that, I did cover my overall target, which is that green fair value gap zone right here. Okay. There was confluence with these ranges down here that we consolidated at for a while until it was lost and then quickly reclaimed. However, this just made a lot of sense for me to come back down to that 2 cent area, or just above 2 cent level. And I got a lot of flack for this. I got a lot of people calling me crazy and that I didn't know what the hell I was talking about. But if we just go back to the chart, you guys, it's pretty much exactly what we got. Came right back down to green here, tapped it with much demand, but then again fulfilled those price levels more, dipping much lower into green. And it's not about being right, it's about having conviction, it's about having a prediction and having your triggers, as everyone says, right? Have those triggers like I talked about up here on the lower time frame, break the wedge, get back underside red, start distributing down, lower high after lower high after lower high. If you imagine price has gravity when the trend is down, where does gravity naturally want to take it, right? So you just start looking at some key areas of interest, and then you plan for that. And it's sometimes as simple as just sitting on your hands, truthfully. If you're not looking to trade the trend down, but you're looking to accumulate, just wait for price to come down to your level. Because more often than not, you'll have a level and price will actually come down further. So if you're so certain that price was just going to shoot back up from here, and you're accumulating all in this area, you're not sitting too hot right now at the moment. So that's why I say it's important to zoom out, understand context, understand the phase of the market, so you can manage your patience a bit more. And so if you understand that we're in reaccumulation and the bear market's not over yet, you will really start to be able to manage your patience a lot better. Because trust me, once the trend shifts, and I think that the bull market has truly started in the altcoins market, then you bet your ass that I'm going to be dumping all my capital into the market. But it just hadn't been time yet. So all that is to say, we are now within that fair value gap. It's still got a little bit left to fill if we're speaking technically here, right? To that range low, these highs, previous highs here on those wicks, which is pretty much the bottom area of our green zone here. So green zone, I will be accumulating. I think that if we get another dip to take out these previous lows, we come towards these highs, which is the range low from back here, okay? I think we see a good reaction from that point on. Now the question becomes if that's enough of a reaction to get back above these highs, okay, and start to shift the trend upwards and get that macro market structure break. But if we see weakness and we are not able to breach these highs and get that overall macro market structure breaking this trend as an added piece of data, then I think that we do start to dip into this deviation area that I have down here, which again is fine. I'd be comfortable taking long-term positions within green because I think anything that dips into this deviation pocket down here will spike major demand that should get us out of this downtrend. And by that time, it'll be essentially from that impulsive move to any kind of bottom of a downtrend here is still quite some time. We got 200 days here, okay, within a downtrend. Roughly speaking, that is to assume if we don't break the trend sooner than that. But that's a fair amount of time, in my opinion, for a reaccumulation phase to take place. You know, around 200 days is definitely a fair amount of time. You don't see these things happen over a week or a few weeks kind of thing. Even a few months, right? You see these take time. So that's just personally my strategy. I had waited for green for such a long time, okay? Been very patient. I hope that some of you have been patient with it as well. But now it's getting to that point where we really don't want to sit on our hands too much. We want to start looking at this as if that next impulsive leg is around the corner. In other words, time to pay attention. Let's see what volume profile is doing. Okay, so we got the volume profile here. I think this is the value area low. I'd like to see point of control. Okay, so we got point of control in the green dashed line here. Highest point of volume that Gala likes to trade at a certain price, which is about 4 cents. We've got the value area low. Let's take just this leg here. Okay, we got the value area low, which we've lost in purple, which is also just a clear origin of the breakdown, significant level that we lost here when we dumped. So very clear to see that this is a level we want to reclaim. Until then, in my opinion, we're still in reaccumulation, still in the downtrend, an area that I do see getting reclaimed for sure, but I will not predict a date for when that happens. We got a bit of a nasty area of liquidity here when we had this wick to the upside. Let me just show you again. That wick to the upside there. Pretty nasty. So a lot of people either shorting or are now underwater, or traders that were essentially just getting out of their positions that were already underwater from a loss of that origin breakdown right up here, taking a minor loss. Okay, so still some hesitation in the market. You can tell from the chart, people are uneasy The demand is there, but the confidence is not. If we get a little push, okay, come Monday into red, in my opinion, that's going to be rejected if I had to guess, and we still end up taking out these lows at some point. Otherwise, in my opinion, it just happens probably sooner, maybe some just chop and then come out, take out the lows Monday open or something like that. Take a quick look at RSI. RSI still showing signs of weakness, okay? Rounding off, didn't have the greatest reaction when we went into oversold territory here. Briefly on the daily, couple impulses up that have clearly failed, with a very clear swing failure pattern right here, which is in line with our second peak in RSI here, not able to continue the trend. That is also now our daily bearish order block from this candle right there. Okay, daily bearish order block, an up candle invalidated by a down candle that breaks any kind of market structure, which it looks to be happening at the moment. We've got our low, we've got a higher low, higher lows, and now really attempting to hold a higher low here, but looking weak at the moment. So if we push up into that bearish order block, into the diagonal, into prior support level here, again, like I said, I think it's back down towards at least these lows and possibly further into green zone. Just dropping down to the 4 hour here now. Okay, so there is a range that we could also use here. Okay, so we got some confluence with this consolidation area here, this high, massive deviation, but 3 equal highs there, back inside the range. Lots of areas of interest around the EQ, and then of course our lows, this attempt here. So otherwise for me, it's chop. Maybe we wick fill a little bit more of that wick here, and we get a nice bounce. You could take a trade from the low of the range to the EQ for a 7 or 8% move, and otherwise on account we reclaim this breakdown origin here, and the EQ, you take it up to the range high. But again, that's why I say zooming out, understanding context. Where are we in the phase of the market? Going back to the daily, where does gravity want to take price? Until proven otherwise, it's lower. And what I mean by proven otherwise is until we get that market structure break, we make some sort of significant lower high, okay, something like this, and then we get a major spike and we hold that level, market structure break, there's your trigger, break out of the diagonal, break that lower high, reclaim a support level, major spike in price. We'll be watching volume at that point too, hoping for a spike. We'll want to see RSI have a similar structure to this with a lower high broken. Okay, at that point we would have swept these range lows, we would have filled that fair value gap, we would have taken out the prior lows, possibly deviated into our deviation pocket. That's where I want to see the demand step in. That's when we start looking at taking it up to high time frame resistance again. And then I would be more inclined, depending on what the price action structure looks like at that time, but I would be more inclined at that point to start looking higher and breaching these highs for a larger cycle leg up. But until we get these triggers, it's just hearsay. It's just conversation. It's just everyone throwing out predictions. Without structure, it's just opinion. That's really all technical analysis is anyways, right? Okay, so but all of that is to say is that this is, in my opinion, it's just another opportunity to buy coins or to buy Gala specifically at lower prices for the long term. If you're looking to trade, it's likely a little bit too short to start shorting. Okay, a little late to start shorting, unless you're drilling into like the 1 hour or 15-minute charts and you're going for short scalps. That's not me, but go for it. I'm predominantly looking for accumulation zones and the next swing long trade up to high time frame resistance. Just zooming out to the weekly chart now, okay? With the weekly looking not much better, okay? We got a bearish engulfing right now from the prior green candle, and we got a large gap on the weekly here from this large impulsive leg up here. Okay, we got a bunch of liquidity within this candle, I think, to sweep before we can gain some bullish momentum again. And there's just a really thin area here with these 3 candles here, very thin area of interest that I'll be closely watching. Okay, it's right around, it's literally on the bottom of this green zone here. Okay, right on the fair value gap, high time frame fair value gap. That's the sweet spot. It's where I'm really interested in taking those swing long positions. Again, looking at the structure of the price again on the daily chart, the 4 hour, making sure I've met my criteria before entering. But I think we're getting very close. Don't look at the dates. Okay, don't get caught up with, I'm going to start buying in June or July or August or September. Just watch price, look for the structure, and then that's when things get exciting. That's when I'll start shifting my focus to looking up instead of down. We'll start looking at this massive high time frame resistance area. Once we reclaim that, I think definitely the bull market is back on. It's exciting. We can start talking about all these highs getting taken out. We can at that point essentially forget the bottom, forget reaccumulation, which is your last chance to really get positioned well for the next couple of years, and then start taking trades up, filling up all the inefficient balance up here. No support levels in here. I think that once we get to those highs and start to break them, and the trend is certainly up, I think it has no problem shooting through these levels. I really hope you enjoyed this video and took something away from it. If you did, please give the video a like. It helps support the channel. Let me know what you think in the comments, and if you're new, of course, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. As always, we'll see you next time. Peace.